So hi again everybody, and welcome to the third video in this series of how to deploy Azure infrastructure using Terraform. In this video we're going to look and explore variables, how we can use Terraform variables within our Terraform code in order to deploy things dynamically without having to hard code things into our script. So on that note, let's just jump straight on in. So yeah, hi again everybody, thanks for tuning in. So what we're going to do, we're going to jump straight on in. If you're following on this video series, you'll know that we've gone through a getting started, where we've done some stuff with remote state and how to store a remote state in a remote backend. We're going to look at how we use variables now in a very basic way within our Terraform script. So in order to kind of make use of variables, the first thing that we're going to want to do is create a new file in our root of where our code is stored. So we're going to call that variables. .tf. Again, any file extension in Terraform that is that has the extension of .tf, they automatically get loaded whenever we run those Terraform initiation, plan, or apply commands. The one thing that you want to do is get into a bit of a habit, agree a naming convention. So, it doesn't really matter what you call these .tf files, but of course, if you don't call them something a little bit more human readable, you could probably get confused quite quickly. So it's always a good practice, best practice, to kind of start thinking of your naming convention of these files. So in this case, we're going to set up another Terraform file called variables.tf, and we're going to start configuring a few variables. So within Terraform, there are a number of different types of variables that we can do, from strings to maps to lists. So I'll just go through a couple of these now, and we'll see if we can use one or two of them in our code. So the first thing that we're going to create is a string variable. So we define the variable by using the variable name. We give that variable the name of whatever it is that we're looking to do. So primary underscore location. We're going to set the type of variable. So in this case, it'll be a string. We can also set a description, and we can call that primary location, and descriptions will become interesting a little bit later. We can also set the variable with a default value. We don't have to. You can see that default is optional, but we can declare our variables within our scripting, and we can obviously use these variables throughout our other TF files to save having to retype things, and then it's just a centralized area then where we can obviously store those variable names. So that's an example of a string variable. And maybe we've got a variable called primary location. Equally, we could set up a variable called secondary location. To look at the other types of variables that we've got things like maps. So in other words, if we were looking at the location, maybe we could set up a variable called location map of type map, and then if we fed it the term pri or sec, it would result in either UK South or UK West. So it's just another type of variable that we could utilize. Equally, we got Boolean variables that we can use, and the structure of those is, in this format. Similar again, you can add descriptions and the default values. You can see that I've added a default value to each of these. If I didn't add a default value, whenever I ran that Terraform apply or Terraform plan, it would request through the CLI, it would request that I gave a value for that particular variable. And I guess one other type of variable that you can use is a list variable. So that's the kind of format. It could be that location list gives us back a list of all possible locations, and we do something with that in our code. So that's just a quick overview of the types of variables that we can kind of set within Terraform. And like I say, this is these are the very basics, just to give you guys a bit of an overview. So say, for example, that we now wanted to use this variable within our Terraform code. So if we jump on over to our main.tf file here, you'll remember that we hard coded the location in there as UK South, but now we've got a variable called primary underscore location that gives us the value of UK South. It would be a good idea to use that location within our code, because as these codes and scripts get a little bit more convoluted and complex, there would be a meaningful way. It would be difficult to maintain having to go through multiple Terraform files to update locations. So if we wanted to use that, rather than using UK South, we could just call the term var and then primary underscore location, and that does it for us. We're now able to call the UK South from our variables file. And if you remember, there were several other resources down here that the logic may be that I want to use the same location as my resource group, in which case that wouldn't hurt. We could leave it like that, but we could absolutely start pasting in our variables down here. So the point is here, we've got a little bit of a hierarchical structure in our format here, where our resource group gets created, then any resource groups take the same location from the resource group. So it's that hierarchical structure. So it's either we can set the primary location as the variable there, which I'm suggesting that's what we'll leave at. So I'll save that now. If we jump down to our Terraform plan, in theory, we shouldn't... it helps if I spell properly. In theory, we shouldn't see any different, because effectively, although we've changed our script to include now the variable name of primary location, we shouldn't really see any difference to the execution of planning our Terraform. So that should reach out to our centralized area. And again, you can see that no changes. The infrastructure is up to date. So just to flick back to the variables file, you can see that there are various different types of variables that we can use. And we can use those variables in multiple ways within our code. That's just a basic example of how we can incorporate the use of a variable within our Terraform code. So on that note, I hope you found that video interesting and you could understand and follow along. Please do like and subscribe for further videos. And on that note, thanks very much for watching. Until the next video, bye for now.